out to the world out there.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. So while YouTube is kind of coming on board, are you there?
Out to the world out there.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Uh-oh. So kind on board. Are you guys getting an echo?
Out to the world out there.
That's exactly right. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Exactly right. So check it out. So here's what we want to do. Greg, are you getting thumbs down if the echo is there? Thumbs up if we're good. Echo?
Out to the world out there.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So check it out. So here's what we want to do. Greg, are you getting thumbs? There we go. How about that? Echo? Oh, it's still there. Okay.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay now.
Okay, we're 5 minutes in, and that means I am robbing you guys of what I promised you. So here's what I want to do. I want to just to again say welcome. We have got Colorado in the house. So if you're in with Colorado, either Mesa County or Adams County, give us a wave, give us a hey, thumbs up, give us a yes. Colorado is repping strong. If you're in from Vermont, give us the big stadium. Yes, hey, ho. All right. If you're in here from South Carolina, just give us a quick wave. Yes, yes. Oh, yes. Come on now. Okay, if I missed anybody, just give me a big thumbs up, double thumbs up, just to say, yo, you didn't call me, but you will not overlook me. Okay, all right. I think we got everybody. So here's what we're going to do today. All of you have worked, for those of you that are live with us in the Practicing Positivity Studio. Let me give you a quick recap on where we are and why we're here. This month, we have focused on leadership. And this is as everybody around the world is trying to kind of reconfigure our lives back to whatever we're calling normal now. Right? We're trying to figure that out. This month has been about equipping you, putting tools in your hands and some new ideas to expand your thinking around not only how are we going to define the new normal instead of just react to it, and how are we going to assist the people around us in thriving in this new normal and not getting pulled into the undertow. Thumbs up if that makes sense. You with me? That's kind of the job that we're up for. Okay, so today's conversation, Javier set us up last week to start talking about and defining what do we mean by positive leadership? What's the kind of leadership that we need for where we are now? And what are some of the competencies that'll be required for you to cultivate those skills, practices, and expand that capacity? So to that end, I have invited, I don't know if that's really a word, I've invited Javier Llerena and Felix Valoria from Reinvent Coaching. They have put together some phenomenal material based on the appreciative inquiry work that all of you have heard about in one way or another in your work with me. And for those of you that are out in YouTube land, if you have heard anything in the Practicing Positivity Studio, you are familiar with appreciative inquiry. We pump it into everything in here. So here's what I want to let you know that you're in for the next hour or so. And Javier and Felix both have agreed to give us some bonus time. They're going to share with you information about what do we mean by positive leadership? Why is it a good match and alignment for this moment right now? And then what are some of the things that you can do to start building that skill set for yourself? If you'd like to know more about them, I'll drop some information in the chat, but at Javier's website, reinventcoaching.com, you can not only find out more about Felix and Javier, but also they have a special gift for you all because you're friends and family of mine. They have a special gift for you in terms of additional training, specially designed for managers and supervisors. So Javier, I will leave that to you towards the end of our masterclass. But for now, I want to go ahead, Javier, if you can go ahead and spotlight yourself and Felix so that we can get it going.
Great. Well, thank you, Nicole. I just want to make a quick intro. I'm very grateful to be here with you and share this time with you. Just a quick story. I'm here based out of California, and Felix is in Colombia. And how I bump into Felix, I was always looking for new ways that teams and leaders can succeed using the appreciative inquiry. And I happened to bump with Felix. I was really amazed by the content that he provided, and we created a very strong partnership where I can say, listen, we need to bring this content to the world. So I partnered with him. He is the master creator of appreciative feedback. We will talk further. But this is the reason why we're here. I think he is the one that kind of catalyzed the whole thing. So be very careful what you look for, because you might find it. And after that, you need to be able to manage it. And that's how we also bump into Dr. Nicole as well, right? We always manifested to have someone with us and really spread the good news of what we're doing, and she's such a great compliment. So super grateful to be here. I'm just going to pass it on to Felix to lead us on and do an intro.
Thank you for the generous introduction, Nicole and Javier. Really grateful and honored to be here. Just to tell you a little bit why I'm doing this. After 25 years in the corporate lives, I started to rethink what can be a better way to lead, and what can be a better way to have conversations, powerful conversations within organizations. And in my search, 6 years ago, I jumped into Appreciative Inquiry, and ever since I have been developing, with the help of many people around, these kind of tools, techniques, resources to deliver and help organizations, institutions, families, individuals to have these powerful conversations from a different space, from a space of inspiration. So my intention today is to lead you through an appreciative dialogue, and at the end of the day, give you 2 or 3 questions and a framework that you can use within your organization to start having these conversations using appreciative inquiry. So, as mentioned, we are going to talk about positive leadership. We are going to talk about ethics, purpose, growth, equity, and inclusion. And what I think that one of the first steps to jump into this kind of conversations is to connect with love, love for ourselves, love for the world, love for the others, for the communities we live in, and also bravery, because it's a matter of interrupting. It's a matter of stop the way we are thinking, doing, acting, and talking, and try to open new conversations from a different perspective, from a different place. And with that in mind, I just want to bring this quote from Meg Wheatley, which is, "A leader is anyone who wants to make a difference right now," which means that if we want to make a difference, we are leaders. We don't need to be presidents, CEOs, CFOs, or whatever it takes hierarchically, but if we want to make a difference, we are leaders. So with that in mind, I want you to start reflecting on the following question. If you think about the world we have built so far through our intentions and actions, what can you do differently to make it the world you want for future generations? This is the question that gave me the inspiration to start talking about positive leadership. And To open the conversation, I'm going to ask Nicole and Javier to arrange some breakout rooms so you can have the opportunity to talk, to introduce yourselves, and also to talk about a little bit of what is that you think you can do differently to start building this world, this new world for future generations as agents of benefits. So, Nicole, whenever you are ready.
Yes. So you all are going to pop in. You all know how we do in the purposeful connecting activity. You're going to have a couple of minutes to just gather your thoughts, write them down. In your small group, you want to take 2 minutes or so to share and then switch to the person that you are in your group with so that everybody has a chance, as Felix just said, to share. You all can get to know each other. Since we're not all from the same community, make sure you introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and then share your responses to the question that you see on the screen. Javier and I will send you a note midway through just to kind of let you know how much time we have. Okay, give me a digital thumbs up or a physical thumbs up if that's clear and you're ready to go, or the peace sign, Ashley. I see you giving me like the Snoop Dogg peace sign. Okay, good. All right, here we go. And once you see that blue button on your screen, just go ahead and tap in. Okay, great. What's Felix, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. Javier just joined one of the small groups.
I think so. I think he did.
Oh, no, he's not there.
He was in room 3, but he might be coming back. This might be him coming
Oh,
back.
yeah.
Okay.
Now
So
he's
for
there.
those of you that are watching us out in YouTube land, here's what we want you to be focusing on, this question. And you can do this individually so that when we come back, you are ready to participate in the conversation. Thank you so much, Felix. Take a moment and think about, if you think about the world we've built so far through our intentions and actions, what can you do differently to make it the world you want for future generations? And remember the slide that Felix had up before we went into this conversation. If you're someone who wants to make a difference now, you're a leader, this conversation is for you. So we're going to take a few more moments and then we're going to bring some folks back, bring everybody back into the ballroom. But if you're watching us out in YouTube land, go ahead and hit us up in the comments and let us know what your reflections and responses are to that question. What can you do differently to make it the world you want for future generations?
And also I want to add, Nicole, that if there are some people that perhaps they're not working right now. Hey, you have a family, you have loved ones that you can implement this question as well to move forward, right? Maybe you're taking a sabbatical, maybe you're taking a break, and you can absolutely add these questions. What can you do now to make the world a better place, right?
Absolutely. And also, it's a big conversation, but you can also adjust these questions. What can you do differently to build the new relationships you want to build in your life? It's just a matter of interrupting what is going on and rethink and reframe the future, just to redesign the future.
The power within us to make a difference.
Gentlemen,
Absolutely.
I'm just writing I'm writing that remix on the question into the chat online so that folks that are watching this via YouTube, that they just have a record of that question. And Javier, that was right on target to say, just reminding us wherever you are, if you're looking at making a transition if the organization or the system we're talking about is your family or your community, this conversation is for you just like it is anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to send a note for folks to start wrapping up here. One more minute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the room, Felix and Javier. So we'll have about a minute, or correction, we'll have 30 seconds.
Well, if people are taking their time, you can see they're coming late. That means they had a great conversation.
That's exactly right. We're looking for smiles when they come back.
That's right. That's right.
Smiles on the way back. And I'll mute Felix and Javier so you all can take it away. And I'm going to note in the chat for people to just put a 1 or 2 word response, what occurred to them as they were reflecting on these questions.
Good.
Welcome back. Yes, there is a smile. So they had a good conversation. Didi smile. So I had a 5 seconds to meet her. So that was nice.
Welcome back. So we would love to know, what is that you want to do differently? If you can use the chat, the Zoom, we have a chat. If you can share with us some ideas, very briefly, we would appreciate that, so we all can see and we can build the collective wisdom, which is one of the targets of Appreciative Inquiry, to work to discover the collective wisdom. So if you want to share, the chat is open.
Want to learn more about others' experiences, needs, and wants? I would like to focus on education. The best success that I had in my life has been when I was learning and teaching others. Teach people that sometimes it is okay to break the rules in order to do something that is right, that don't have always to do something the way we all always have done it. Wow, look at the chat, it's popping. Cannot keep up with the reading there. I hope we're recording all this. This is awesome. My group talk about exposure. Yes, please.
Andy, if I could get one or two folks want to unmute your mic and just kind of give a shout out, just a quick short one. What is it that turned over for you as we're talking about creating the new world?
Well, I was paired with a couple of women, and one of them talked about connecting better with our next generation of folks, and being able to share some of our wisdom with them. But they operate a lot differently than we do, and so really learning how to connect with them and learning to work with them. And I really like that.
Absolutely.
Love that. Is for those of you that have worked with me, Felix and Javier, they don't know I hijack the mic all the time. But those of you that have worked with me, y'all know this is like a Napoleon standard. So Felix, I'm gonna give you the mic back. I'm gonna mute myself and let you do your thing.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for your generosity sharing this. So, this is the idea. In the last 12, 16 months, we've been living in a kind of chaos and complexity. We have been in social distancing. We have been trying to preserve our lives, our families. We have been resisting, and we have been resolving the urgent issues. This is the normal behavior of human beings when we are in the middle of the chaos or in complex situation. We try to at least preserve the basic And that's right, it's our survival instinct. It's natural that we do that. But also, trying to get away from danger and trying to survive has another side of the story. We as human beings always go in the direction of the things that give us life, that makes us strive, that makes us be good. It's a kind of homeostatic impulse that we have, that we always, in difficult situations, in challenging situations, we try to, let's say, flourish again. We try to go back and be who we really are in normality. And that's what we call the conservative regulatory momentum. It's this impulse that we have to go back to normal. And the invitation today is, since many countries, many societies are going back to normal, are reopening, it's a good moment to interrupt and question the assumptions. Because the buildings, the offices, the equipment, the machinery, all the hardware is still there. But the question is, are we the same that we were before? And to open these kind of conversations within our institutions, families, groups, is very important to notice how have we evolved, what have we learned, and what can be possible now, what can be different, what can be new, what can be better from all that experience that we have lived in the past months. So it's kind of creating a new normal, which is what we call the innovative expansive momentum. Try to discover and recover our best selves. We have been helping others. We have been supporting so many people during this period of crisis, and most probably we are not aware of that. We take that as granted. We take that for granted. So the invitation is, what are our strengths? What are our virtues, our capabilities that helped us to be our best selves during this moment? And how can we take these strengths and virtues for the future to build an end-to-end ecosystem vision, inclusion, and also to develop a collaborative logic? And we have been good in that. We have done that during the last 14, 16 months. We have been doing that. And that will help you to redesign this normal and also to enhance the way we live our lives and the way we build our relationships. So that's the invitation today. Let's see what we have done. Let's recognize our virtues, our strengths, our capabilities that flourish when we are in challenging situations. We all have these capacities, only that we take them for granted most of the time, and we don't realize that we can explore this area, illuminate this area of our lives, of our personalities, and put them into service for a better future. I don't know if I'm making any sense for this group, for this beautiful group. So if you give me a thumb up to know that I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, you, Felix, you definitely do it great. Had a great comment. He said, "I really love how this is explained. I haven't exactly thought about it like this before. Totally makes sense." And then Didi said, "I Greg, I totally agree with you. So I think we have two people there that, and the rest as well. So I see some thumbs up, basically.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, at this very moment, all countries are facing the global challenge, which is trying to control the health crisis, to decrease as maximum the human losses and the intangible capital, which is the know-how, because many of us has been forced to leave our jobs, our organizations, to move from cities to other places. So this capital, this intellectual capital, is very important to rebuild and to redesign the new normal. Also, governments are speaking about preservation of employment, entrepreneurship as a new way to impulse the economies. And also, they are providing financial aid to decrease poverty, or at least to stop the growth in poverty in societies, and also to improve the social mobility. We are just trying in each country, trying to avoid the increase in poverty as much as we can. But the real challenge is how can we build simultaneity in the vaccination to avoid propagation and mutation. The speed of the virus, I think, is the most challenging situation we are facing at this very moment. So, solidarity, trying to be fair in vaccination process within the countries, and also the cooperation and resilience between the nations. This is the big conversation at this very moment in the world with the authorities, with the leaders. The big leaders are just talking about this. So, what happened with all the issues that are under the surface of this big conversation? And this is what we want to bring to your attention today. We still have social issues. We need to develop consciousness and self-care in population, because no matter how far and how fast we go with vaccination, if we don't develop the awareness of self-care, it will take a long time to stop the effect of the pandemic. We have also the post-traumatic syndromes produced by the social distances. We have a very dramatic increase in domestic violence. Now that families are living 24/7 together, the domestic violence has increased. We have infancy issues, children losing their parents. We have the necessity, the need to build capacity in vulnerable sectors. We have the issue of labor reintegration and insertion, and we have the migration problem. And me, as a Venezuelan guy, I know what migration is provoking, is causing in Latin America. Especially in Latin America, the migration from my country is really a big deal for the countries. And we also have diversity and discrimination, which is an issue that we really need to face in the coming years, now that we have seen all these events in the news about discrimination, about how we are not inclusive in so many ways. Also, gender equality. Women that are not recognized as equal, differences in wages and the big unemployment numbers. Also, the housework during home office. You ladies doubled your, and I say ladies, but also we as men also had a bigger charge and a bigger demand from our families, because before we left home 7 o'clock in the morning and we came back at 8 o'clock, we didn't know what happened in that place that we call home during the whole day. But now we live in 24/7 and we have to share all this housework, and that's an increase also in the burden as we also develop our work. Also, the challenge of participation in scientific and technological careers, women who need to be recognized as equal. The problem of desertion. I am single mother. I cannot continue doing what I'm doing because I have to take care of my family, or am a single parent also. So desertion is also a problem. The stability of jobs for the very vulnerable sectors, which is tourism, trade, and domestic service, which are the sectors more impacted by the pandemic. And also the incorporation of women in management positions. So as you see, many of these topics were before the pandemic and are still there. No matter we are talking about how to survive, those things, those problems are still there, those opportunities. So we want to bring to your attention what can we do in our power, what is in our power that we can do to make a change in these issues when coming back. Education, access to technology, beliefs and fears. Do I really need to be a professional? Do I really need to get a degree? Can I do money? Can I make money without being a professional? What is the institutional expectation? What are the companies, organizations expecting from the outcome of universities? Is there any fit between what we are teaching and what the companies are expecting? That's also a big issue, because the curriculum in the education sector hasn't changed a lot in the last year. It's been kind of static, while the organizations are reinventing all the time and needing different capacities. So we also have a very important issue in education. And also the environment. How can we reduce food waste? How can we build a more sustainable food production system and trade? How can we help restoration and conservation? How can we stop climate change? So each of these conversations were before and still are there, only that the pandemic has shadowed these conversations because we are in a kind of surviving moment. But going back to normal, we are going to find that these issues are still there and even are bigger than before due to the pandemic effects. And I want to invite you, just for a matter of reflection, to write in the chat which of these opportunities that we have seen in education, gender equality, environment, which of these opportunities inspires you to take a step forward and help others to help themselves? And this is the first step for positive leadership. Find the inspiration for a purpose. What is connecting me with my passion, with a purpose? So if you think about these opportunities that we have seen, social, education, gender equality, which one of those inspires you to take a step forward and help others to help themselves? And this is very important. It's not inspires me to resolve and take charge of the whole situation, but what can I do to help others to help themselves from the place I'm leading, from the way I am at this very moment. So think about it, and please share in the chat your thoughts.
Working to empower women more, give a space for people to navigate the next steps consideration as we move towards a post-pandemic world. And I would like to think more about education delivery system. COVID has taught me a lot about how we use tech to educate. Really good. Good stuff. Be gentle with people as they come back to an office environment. Allow the work-life balance to be the best extended possible. Yes. Wow.
So I just
Oh, what an audience. What an audience.
Yeah,
This is
Javier,
amazing.
let me, if I could hop in, I want to say something
Absolutely.
to folks that are watching via YouTube. This is an appreciative inquiry principle that is foundational, but it is not something that is the first thought when we think of an appreciative or a positive response to tragic circumstances. So what Felix has, this invitation question, is to say, in the midst of the mayhem and the madness and all of the breakdowns that we're seeing that he just articulated, what we're looking for is not what's going to fix it all or the silver bullet. What he's asked you to look for is what inspires me to take action that can move towards the desired future that I believe is possible. So within appreciative inquiry, the discipline here, it's not when everything is great that we want to find and kind of do a rah-rah. It's even now, even in the midst of housing crises, even in the midst of, we don't really know when this pandemic is going to be over. What inspires me to act? Because you're in this conversation, remember, I want to make a difference in this moment, not some happily ever after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that has to do, thank you, Nicole, and it has to do of recognizing and appreciating my own personal power, because I have strengths, I have capabilities. So be aware of that, and also what can you do with those inspirations to bring up all the power within yourselves and within ourselves. So as you see, we have seen a lot of opportunities. We are also building up a kind of aspiration. When we say what inspires me, we are just starting to walk the way, the path of inspiration. Is that kind of injustice, if you want to see it in that way, that inspires me to build a better world, to build a purpose for myself, but it's also a kind of space where I can bring my capabilities and help others to help themselves. It's kind of way we can talk about it. And we need to start planting the seed. We need to start talking in our institutions about positive leadership, so these institutions can become positive, and at the end of the day we have a positive world. And what positive leadership is like, I'm going to use the work of two amazing women, Diana Whitney and Andrea Trosten Bloom. They described a few years ago what an appreciative and positive leadership should be in terms of 5 strategies. And the first one is the inquiry, is stop having the answers and start asking the questions. Open the space for these conversations and give voice to the whole system. Start listening so you can really get to know what the needs, what the strengths, what the aspirations, and what the opportunities are in an ecosystemic way. So that's the first strategy. Ask good questions, powerful and generative questions. The second one is illumination. How can we bring light in those areas where we can make a difference? How can we bring light in the capacities, strengths, competencies of the people around us to make them aware of their personal power? Inclusion, having this ecosystemic, end-to-end ecosystemic point of view. Try to be aware of all the system. Who else can be in this conversation that we have not included so far? It's something, for instance, in education, sometimes the institutions make the whole design without taking into consideration what the companies, the workforce are needing, what the young people are needing, what are the aspirations. They are just producing curricula without having the great conversation, the big conversation of all the system, including all the system. Also, integrity. Do good. No matter what, always do good, and no matter who. It's kind of being an agent of benefit for all the system. And of course, inspiration. Try to connect the heart with the brain. Try to bring hope in times of despair. Having this conversation. What has we achieved? What are our strengths? What is that we want to change in the future, that we want to do differently? Open this conversation. That's the way we inspire in our teams. And when we have done that, we are in the way to build positive institutions. And as Cooper Ryder and Godwin defined them in 2014, these are organizations and practices, a structure in culture and society that really develop and exalt our highest human strength. So is that space where I feel safe to be the best version of myself. This space, this institution, this society always allow me to bring the best of myself. And also combine and magnify these strengths and send them out in the world so that we can build a better, a flourishing world. So when we talk about a positive institution, it's this space we can build so everybody can reach the best self and also can put the strengths, the virtues into service to make the world, the society, the community a better place, a flourishing place. So this is what we call a positive institution. So it's a kind of rethinking how our culture is enabling or not the human beings to be their best version. So it's kind of start thinking what is our culture doing to enhance the best of all the people.
Felix, can I pop in real quick right here?
Yes, please.
So, as you all are listening, because many of you are in various positions within your organizations, or if the organizational system that you want to impact is your family or community, be thinking about those 5 I's: inquiry, illumination, integrity. I know I'm forgetting one.
Inclusion,
Inclusion. Thank you. And I just had,
inspiration.
how could I forget inspiration? Be thinking about how would you activate one or more of those in your immediate sphere of influence and your sphere of action, things that you can actually touch and hold and control, and things that you must influence through those 5 I's. Okay. Sorry, Felix, I wanted to pop that in for folks.
Thank you. So, a positive institution is what we like to call a generative ecosystem. Is the positive leadership as a platform for change. So we need to have clarity in ethics and purpose. That's the first step. What is our biggest purpose? What inspires us, and what is the ethics that we are building our culture on? To open new conversations for hope, inspiration, trust, but more important, for action. Because I have seen so many institutions talking about hope, inspiration, trust, and that's it. There is no a call to action. So what we are encouraging organizations, institutions is, okay, you are inspired, you have a purpose, you have built your ethics, your culture, but what is the first step? The very good first step, simple but good, that you can take to start walking this way. And now we are talking about returning, reimagining, and reforming. And that means sustainable growth with equity and inclusion. This is the time to interrupt and have the conversation about how to be more sustainable, how to be more inclusive, and how to build also a gender equality ecosystem. Because now we have women and environment as relevant stakeholders. This is the reality, my friends. If we don't start seeing women and the environment as very important stakeholders, the new capitalism, which is called in some places, the new capitalism is including the new stakeholders, is women, and it's also the environment as important parts of the system. So this is kind of the new consciousness, the new awareness that we need to create in our institutions. So, how am I doing? Am I boring you? Confusing you? Okay. Well, now, what we're going to do. So let's show you.
There is Felix. There's a question from Greg. It says, "Is race and as a part of a new stakeholders?"
Yeah, absolutely. It's what we call inclusion. We also have here the different stakeholders that are part of our ecosystem, no matter what the race is, what the ethnicity is. It's when we call inclusion. Okay? So we made this particular emphasis in women and environment because I'm going to be honest, and please, gentlemen, don't feel offended for what I'm going to say at this very moment. I think the minute we start having women in very high positions, we can conduct this change more easily. Okay? Because women are bringing to the organizations a new way of looking at the world, a new way of looking at reality, and also having different positions occupied by women is bringing a refreshing and also an innovative way of building the culture in the organization. So that's why I made the emphasis in women as new stakeholders. But it's not excluding, of course, the ethnicity and the racial issues that you mentioned. Okay? And that's because I'm a really huge fan of women as leaders. I've been working in institutions with women in high positions, and I love the way we work in this institution. So this is kind of a personal reflection for me. Not that we as men don't do good, but it's a kind of recognition. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an appreciative dialogue using the SOAR framework. Strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. We have so far talked about the opportunities. We have so far talked about aspirations, inspirations. Now we're going to have a small conversation in groups to talk about the strengths and results. And for that, I want you to use these questions in the handout that Javier uploaded in the chat. On page 17, you have these questions. And what we want you to talk about in the next minute is, if emergent leadership is required to transform institutions to guide the broad flourishing of a positive world, what behaviors would demonstrate the existence of an ideal ethic of this positive leadership? What elevated strength will accompany us to develop this leadership ethic and become agents of change and transformation in our institutions? And what would be a first step, a good first step in starting to pollinate and germinate the new ecosystem? Keeping in mind that you are going to help others to help themselves. It's building capacity. It's a matter of building capacity. So far, we have included the model of virtues and strengths that Peterson, and Seligman developed in 2004, which are 6 virtues and 24 strengths that everybody has and everybody shows in moments of challenging situation. In the moment that we are inspired, in the moment that we are in danger, in the moments that we are really challenged, these virtues and these strengths come up. We show these behaviors. It's innate. Okay? It's not something that we are going to develop. These are virtues and strengths of the human beings. So what we want you to do is, in the next 15 minutes, go to small rooms, breakout rooms, and have a conversation about these 3 questions based on the model of the virtues and strengths of Peterson and Seligman. Nicole, if you want to give some instructions.
Yes, I do. And Christine, I see you. We will be able to circle back to you and kind of give you a download. Thank you for showing up. So we'll be able to show you what you missed later. Okay. Thank you for being here. Okay, you guys. So like we did it last time, but I want to do a time check because we did say that this would be from 12 to 1. If you have to jump off, go ahead and just let me know if you need to jump off now. No worries. And again, we'll leave the replay up for a bit. For those of you that can hang with us for this culminating activity, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you go into those small groups just like we did at the top of the of our time together. And you're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes or so You'll have 15 minutes total, but you're going to take a few minutes each to just reflect on that question. And I've dropped it in the chat for you. So if, again, emerging leadership is what's required to address this moment, what are the behaviors? What are the strengths? And I forgot the last part of that question there. Where
First
would you
step.
start? What would be your first step? So think about behaviors and strengths in the context of the virtues that you see on your screen now. Okay. What would be the kinds of strengths that we need to do this work? So we will go ahead and we will make sure that we share with you a kind of a time space at about the midpoint, so that we can make sure that everybody, you kind of know what's going on and how much time you have. And then we'll bring you back for a quick debrief. And also, Javier has a surprise and a gift for you all. So I want to go ahead and get you in here, get you started. If you haven't started on just kind of organizing your thoughts around those questions, go ahead and do that now. And we will see you back here in about 10 or so minutes. 10 or so minutes. Okay. All right. And away we go. When you see that blue button, just hit join room and we'll see you there. Okay.
I'm back.
Okay, I'm going to move Ashley. So for those of you that are in YouTube land, we're doing a little bit of back office chatter right now. But for those of you that are watching in YouTube land, I will go ahead and put this question in the chat there for you, so that you can just kind of check out and be thinking about if emerging leadership is required to transform our institutions in ways that allow us to be agents of benefit and not simply reacting to what's happening, then what are the behaviors that would demonstrate this new ethic? What new strengths would accompany us using those virtues that we were talking about just a moment ago? And what would be a first step that you could use? Remember, we had that slide about starting to plant the seed. What would be a first step to pollinate spaces and places where those generative ecosystems in which we help others to help themselves could actually grow and flourish? So take a moment, grab your pen for those of you that are in YouTube land, and we want you thinking about this. We want you not just listening to this information, but what makes knowledge power is when we put it to work. Otherwise, it just becomes another brick in your knapsack. If you don't use it as fuel, it's just weight. So take a moment and see what you turn over. Oh, my music stopped. Oh,
So one of the big questions that a lot of companies are having is how this hybrid working model is going to look like, right? You have this HR people telling people, guess what? You're going to be you're going to be on site, you're going to be virtual, and then you're going to be hybrid. So how's that going to work that? So we can use these questions as well to bring that up as well. How the new world is going to look like.
Absolutely. And this is the first step, the first, I think, brave step is to look at our own culture, look at our own ethics, the way we are doing things, the way we are approaching, and how can we start building a new culture that allows to reflect the best of everyone, of every person in the institution, in the organization. So it's also a kind of redesigning the culture and redesigning the way we are building our relations within the institutions, the organizations. We cannot pretend to be acting in the same way we did before the pandemic. We have learned, we have changed, we have a new mindset after living in the last 16 months in a chaos and complex situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. An opportunity for growth.
Yeah. And I loved, you posted a week or so a quote from Mandela, which is really very aligned with this, is that there is no better opportunity to realize how much we have changed than going back to a place that hasn't changed at all. So
Yeah.
that's the way we realize we have evolved. And that's exactly what is happening now. We
Yep.
are going back to the buildings, offices, and all the things, the infrastructure, but the person after 16 months is completely different. So
Yes.
it will never be the same.
Absolutely. I talked to some leaders that got hired during the pandemic, so now they're going back to the office, and their team is saying, you know what? Things were much better when we were virtual. We were more efficient that way. And now things we need to learn how we're gonna do this hybrid model because it looks weird being together in the office.
Yeah.
So
And there are simple examples about that because our priorities, our habits have changed so far. Even what we eat, how we eat, what we buy, simple things like this have changed tremendously after this period of social distancing. And we have developed new capacities. Think about the people who didn't know how to connect to a video conference. Now we are kind of experts dealing with Zoom, with Microsoft Teams, with all these tools that 16 months ago were forbidden in the organizational, in the corporate world. In certain organizations, it was absolutely forbidden to connect remotely to do my job. And I have a very good example of that. A huge company that for 25 years refused to work remotely, refused to give laptops, refused to open the ERP system for home office. At the beginning of the pandemic, they were completely paralyzed. They were completely stopped for 2 months to build a new capacity technologically and also providing the tools and the hardware and building all the
infrastructure.
the architectural design for the system. So it took 2 months for them working 24/7 to recover what I like to call the technological debt that they had for 25 years.
Yes. And I'm laughing because there was a company that refused to negotiate in a virtual environment. They refused to close contracts and negotiate. So they were stuck until they changed their policies of how to come together and negotiate with their vendors on a virtual environment because everything was on site. So their business took ahead because the policy said very clear: we do not negotiate in a virtual environment.
That's it.
So what I'm doing, Felix and Javier, as you all are continuing to kind of feed those folks that are watching through YouTube land, this is these conversations about really noting we can't actually, what I love about the conversation, excuse me, is we can't, there's really no normal to return to because we've all changed as we've gone through this last year and several months. And if we start with Felix, what you said, if we start with looking at our own ethics and values as the foundation on which we begin to build the future, that's where we have a chance to really create a sustainable generative ecosystem, if I'm following that right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm going to, for folks in YouTube land, if you are taking notes on this, these questions, you know you're in conversation with us virtually. Feel free to post in the chat your comments as well so that we can add them into the conversation. We're going to be closing our breakout rooms here in just a moment. So we're going to bring everybody back into the same space and same conversation. So we are going to close in 5, 4, 35, 4. 30 seconds, we'll have everybody back. But really be thinking for yourself. What are my own ethics? What's changed about me that is going to make the future different than what it was a year and some ago? Hey, Jeremy, welcome back. Welcome back, Monique. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. All right. Okay. Oh, I love it. People still coming back with smiles. That's a good sign. So we've got some generative ecosystems that are going to change the world. I love it. I love it. So, Javier, let me go ahead and have you, if you are Felix, let me have you go ahead and kind of debrief this as you like. And I just want to point out for folks, as you're coming back in, you'll notice Javier has just dropped into the chat a Mentimeter link so that we can give you a place to situate some of your responses to those questions. So go ahead and click that Mentimeter link.
Yes.
Caring, follow through, brave.
And you can share your screen if you like, Javier, so people can see what's coming in.
Yeah, I think I'm sharing my screen. People can see my screen. Yes, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Compassion, understanding, support. Beautiful.
Good.
Trust.
Authenticity.
Yes.
Honest interactions. Opportunity.
As you all are filling that in, Javier, Felix, and the folks in YouTube land, what we were talking about was when we're talking about big changes to big problems like the ones we articulated at the beginning of the conversation, the start of the change is not a huge policy. The start of the change is us looking at our own ethics, values, and principles. What is it? What new things are we going to build with that's going to have the future be different than what it was in the past? not just the status quo and drag, as we said in your invitation email. So I love what you all are putting up here. Honest interactions, hope, bravery, follow through. I love it. I love it. Persistence. Come on. So let me, as you continue to populate that, Felix, I'll have you go ahead and you can kind of conclude our session here as you like, and then I'll wrap us up when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. And this is the kind of conversations we need to start opening within our organization. So feel free to use this material. This is a gift for you. Feel free to use the presentation that you received from Nicole. Feel free to use the handout, the questions. If you want to reframe the questions, please do so. But our intention, our purpose is that you can use this material to open these conversations within your groups, your organizations, your family, your communities. This is really what we hope and what we expect. That is the result of this conversation, of these moments that we have shared with you. And also invite you, if you want to learn how to design appreciative dialogues, we have a big opportunity starting July the 7th of the certification of appreciative feedback, where we work together with the groups to develop competencies and abilities to design these kind of appreciative dialogues to accompany performance based on the strengths, based on the aspirations, and based on the opportunities and results of our groups, our teams. So I think Javier has a gift for you. Please, if you want to get more information about this next certification, let us know. Please get in touch and we will be glad to talk about it.
Yes, thank you, Felix. So very quick, I put in the chat the landing page so you can get more information. This is a live course and we are starting a new cohort. This is our third cohort of the year. We're going to start July 7th and we meet for 8 sessions. So it's going to be a total of 16 hours where we go through 8 different modules. We had Nicole is one of our amazing part of cohort 2. And just because of that, we want to give you $200 off out of the $589 that it costs. So you can use that Grateful Dr. Nicole is your code if you want to join us. I'll also put our email addresses there. Feel free to send an email to Felix or myself if you have any questions. Love to chat with you and answer any questions and see if appreciative feedback can be a good fit for you and also your organization. So happy to have that chat. And like I said, we doing this classes is live, it's not recording. We do what we call experimental learning. So everything that you're gonna experience, everything that you're gonna learn, you're gonna apply right there on the spot. And that's what makes it unique than any other courses out there. And then also we believe in the wisdom of the circle of the group that you're gonna be there. So the knowledge that you're gonna get is also sharing with other individuals in the classroom, right? So that every single cohort is a different experience, I think. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicole, for this time, this space, and thank you, Felix.
Thank you, all of you, Nicole, for the invitation, Javier, for your support, and each one of you for staying with us, for participating, and also for being brave enough and to show your love in this conversation. Great human beings, and we hope we have planted the seed for great conversations. Take care. See you hopefully very soon.
And I just want to say, Felix and Javier can hang out. If you have specific questions about this material, unmute yourself and let her rip. So if you have something that wasn't clear, or if you have a question about the course or whatever, they've agreed to hang on so that they can chat with you more about this material, so that what they've given you today, you can take with you and put to work. So whatever you want to discuss with them to help you do that, in terms of crafting your next step, let's go. We're ready for you. So before actually, newbie mistake, before we do that, for folks in YouTube land, you would need to have registered for this via the registration form. So at this point, we will say goodbye to the folks. Everybody wave to the folks at YouTube land on 3, 1, 2, 3. Ah! And we will be able to have the replay will remain up for folks that want to watch it via the YouTube